All right, well, this was a game that Craig was talking about that impressed him. Liverpool getting a 1-0 win over Real Madrid. And we know that Real Madrid may have their issues, but them in the Champions League is a completely different beast. But it was Liverpool under the lights at Anfield that got the valuable points. Jan, what did you make of this Liverpool performance, especially considering all the recent struggles we have seen from Arne Slot's men?
I would put it into a week, a Liverpool week, which started that he was criticised for giving the boys a rest. Then he went into the Villa game. That was a good game. So he managed this week, I would say, all in all, to have his two best games of the season from the Villa game to the Real Madrid game. I think that looked more like Liverpool. I think they went back to basic. I think the position of Wirtz looked better.
Well, McAllister has been a bit of a ghost so far this season, but he stepped up. But Craig, this result impressed you the most.
Yeah, well, I didn't see the games because, as you know, I was away, but I caught bits and pieces of it. And what's interested me is, Jan touched on it, it was a huge week. You know, they lost to Palace in the Carabao Cup, but they made a raft of changes. It was a bunch of kids. Villa was huge for them. And then Real Madrid at home, who had just won a Clasico, were top of the league. Not playing brilliant, but playing good enough with the informed player, you could argue, in European football, in Kylian Mbappe. And then obviously Man City at the weekend. So as Jan said, just a huge, huge week. And not just the fact that they've got 2 victories thus far, the manner in which they got Wirtz in the side, the manner in which they played, the manner in which they created so many chances that Courtois was man of the match. But one of the interesting things for me is, at the start of the season, you looked at the middle of the park and you said, he's a really good player. He's the captain of Hungary. But Dominic Szoboszlai, he's going to be the guy to miss out, right? When Wirtz is there and Gravenberch is playing as he did last year, which he hasn't, and McAllister, which he hasn't. He's had injuries. But how are they all going to fit in? And you kind of felt Szoboszlai was the guy that was probably going to miss out. And yet he's been the man this season. OK, he's played right back, he's played midfield, he's played 10. He's been shuffled all over the place, but you could argue, and particularly in this game, but you know, for the bulk of the Premier League season, where Liverpool have struggled, he's been the best player. And I think what that tells me is I think it's, you know, and he was probably thinking that himself. And the reason I say this is it's always important to keep players on their toes. And Dominic Szoboszlai, who was excellent in this match, probably thought, he's coming in to play number 10. That's one less space in the middle of the park. I'm probably going to be on the bench. I need to up my game. That's the kick up the backside some players have needed. He's been playing much better than the others, and that really has impressed me. I mean, again, you know, I think Arne Slot has made some, up until this last couple of games, has made some errors in team selection. I don't think many thought Isak should have started the United and the Chelsea games, but he did. Should have been Ekitike. So I think that was a mistake. So he's kind of having to take that on the chin himself. But he's figured it out thus far. It's been a huge week for them. If they are to beat City at the weekend, mark my words, they are very much back on track. As quickly as it goes down the way, as it was, it seemed, for Liverpool, it can go back up the way just as quickly because of that confidence. And that was a huge confidence booster. Not if you're Milos Kerkez at left back, who's had a tough time, but it's needs must. It's needs must for Arne Slot. He needs to put the round pegs in the round holes to get results. And in all fairness, Villa and Real Madrid, he's done that very well.
Well, funny you should say that, but Shaka, all summer long, our Stevie Nicol, when the transfer window was open and we were doing the shows, he was just begging for them to strengthen that back line. And then if you, I guess, could look at it now, they didn't strengthen quite to the standards our Stevie Nicol would have wanted to. But now looking at how that back line dealt with the threats from Vinny Jr. and Kylian Mbappe, I mean, it was quite impressive. But you notice Andy Robertson coming back in. But how much realistically can Arne Slot rely on Andy Robertson this season?
And that's a big question for me. And of everybody in Liverpool, I think we know their potential, we know how good they are. But did we ever think Robertson would have the kind of game in the Champions League against Real Madrid that he did, albeit up against Camavinga? Oddly, that's one for
that was a strange one.
That's for Xavi Alonso to answer. But there's Valverde coming behind. But Robertson, who was surplus to requirements, or just about, a few months ago, all of a sudden steps in on this stage, has an outstanding game. On the other side, you got Bradley, who plays up against Vinicius Jr. And again, he, no question, in terms of just one-on-one battles where time and time again, you say to players, win those one-on-one battles with your man, and Bradley did that against Vinicius Jr. I mean,
some of his antics were embarrassing.
But
again,
Real Madrid aside, just looking at Liverpool, and particularly for me, those two wing backs, I think they both deserve an immense amount of credit for the jobs that they've done. But to your question, Alexis, can they do it for the next 30 or 40 games or whatever is left in the season, including cup competitions and how deep Liverpool may go in this in the Champions League? I'm not so sure, and which is why pre-season everybody was saying Liverpool needed to strengthen defensively. Now, this is one game in which absolutely they were outstanding and need to be given their credit for that. But can they do it game after game over a long season, over the Christmas period that we talk about is always so defining? That's the challenge for this Liverpool rearguard. I'll also say that the two centre-backs who've come into their criticism a lot this season, again, Kylian Mbappe, the form that he's in, Van Dijk and Konate look unbothered for much of the evening. Credit to everybody in that Liverpool back four for the job that they've done. They have got to maintain that, though.
I don't think Andy Robertson can now do it all season. I think I saw him play for Scotland recently as well, and he struggled. I mean, he's been a great player, don't get me wrong. Absolutely amazing fullback. But he can't, and he's got all the experience in the world, and probably that's what they need at the moment, just to go in and maybe do a more defensive job rather than, marauding down the left-hand channel, which he'll do now and again. But why the hell would Xabi Alonso play Camavinga high up on the right-hand side, when really that's Liverpool's weaker area, or one of their weaker areas? Surely you play somebody that's taking up spaces and areas of the field that's going to make it difficult for Robertson to make a decision. Do you, if it's Arda Güler or Maston-Twa, whoever it is, do you squeeze in with him or do you stay off him? You get one-on-one with him, he gives me a problem. Why would he do that? Does Xabi Alonso still think Andy Robertson is the marauding fullback of 2, 3, 4 years ago, where he was up and down there like a train for 90 minutes and he put Camavinga out there to stop that? That's not the player he is anymore. Even if it was Milos Kerkez in the side there as a youngster, he's not doing that. He's not getting forward anywhere near when he was playing as much as Andy Robertson did in his pomp, because he's short of confidence. He's nervous on the ball. So why would Xabi Alonso make a decision like that in an area where Liverpool are not as big a threat as they have been over the years? Because Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold on the other side, they were a huge threat, weren't they? You didn't just have to worry about Mo Salah and Gakpo or Diaz. You had to worry about the fullbacks absolutely bombing forward. That's not been the case this season. It really hasn't. So I thought that was another. Every now and again, Xabi Alonso does something, whether it's, I don't know so much at Leverkusen, but certainly at Real Madrid. Every now and again, he chucks one in there and you think, really?
Yeah.
Bellingham in the Madrid derby had 20 minutes of football and you're going, really? You were a midfielder, Xabi Alonso. You know what it's like to go in the engine room when you've got no fitness and no sharpness and you're lacking all the match sharpness and everything you need, the energy and all that sort of stuff. And then the Camavinga up on the right against Liverpool's problematic area. I just don't understand.
I think I just want to say to Shaka's point that what will happen to Liverpool during this season. What we do know is that Arsenal will also have a break. There's something, they will have a couple of 3 games when things not working. I think what we've seen from Liverpool this season is when you get new players in, you take them in with some promise of playing time. Wenger said the other day that Wirtz was promised the number 10 position. Then you have to give him that and see if he succeeds. I think that maybe what Liverpool have experienced now that they seem to got out of it, and then they can lose it at City, and you will say they are far away from Arsenal, but still. They have now players in there. They have tried out something. Now with Robertson, I don't think he can play every game. I'm not 100% sure that Bradley is good enough to play every game as well. We know that the central defense, one injury there, and you're struggling. But I still think that Liverpool got the squad to change things and the players will get in form. It's nothing wrong with the potential of the players that are there. I mean, Isak will score goals. We know that. Florian Wirtz will get scoring points. We know that. Szoboszlai, Craig's point, yes, he's up his game. Gravenberch will be better, and so on and so on. I think now that they manage this week, and if we take the game against at City on Sunday as well, a huge week, and if they survive, if they land on their feet this week, I think the Liverpool fans could be quite positive of the future, because we know they won last season. We know they know what it's like. Arsenal haven't won it, so they will always have that pressure over them, and Liverpool can play a bit freer, if that is an English word.
Yeah, and to Craig's point about Xabi Alonso, that every now and again he has thrown out a decision or a change that's made us go, huh? What's going on here? You obviously got close to him and spoke to him a lot during that amazing run at Leverkusen, where he was absolutely flourishing. Now we know it's a different kettle of fish at Real Madrid, but why do you feel like he's finding it a bit harder to get that perfect method right or chemistry right?
Well, first of all, it's a big difference. You're playing, singing in a choir in Germany, in Leverkusen, and then be the lead vocalist of the Beatles. I mean, it's this is Real Madrid. I mean, you may say this is the biggest club in the world. It's a big pressure, and even Alonso. If we think that Alonso, because he won the championship in Germany, he hasn't been a coach for many years. It's one of the reasons why a lot of the coaches who win have been there for ages and got that experience. So I think that he still have to learn his team. He has to understand the team. He will try things out. We don't know whatever happened in the dressing room. We just see sometimes the reactions on the pitch. There could be different reasons why he's trying out things on the pitch. He could have a great training week. Where should I put him? I want him in the team, and so on. So I think this is what a year for Xabi Alonso. He's still, I'm not saying he's a rookie, but he's not an experienced coach, and we tend to forget that.
Let's put a player against Andy Robertson that's not going to give him any problems going forward. Really.
Yeah.
Let's put a player against Andy Robertson to stop him because he's the greatest attacking left back on the planet. No, he used to be one of them. I mean, he was incredible. He used to be incredible at getting up and down that left-hand side, and he used to be incredible one-on-one, which as you get older, you have more problems with. So why put a player out there in a different formation that's really not going to have to stop him going forward or give him much of a headache going the other way? Is it? Why are you laughing? Is it coach overthinking? Is the Champions League by this 36-team group stage, is that where it is now? Is it a bouncing place where managers try things for later on in the competition? Is that kind of where we are? Or is it just manager overthink? I don't know, man. It doesn't really make much sense to me, that decision.
Well, Jan mentioned it. There's a big game in the Premier League this weekend. Manchester City going up against Liverpool in this one. Shaka, just looking ahead to that one. Who starts in left back for Liverpool then? Do you stick with your tried and true Andy Robertson? Can he handle midweek?
I'll tell you who doesn't start.
You go with that same starting 11. I think all of them have earned that right.
Can Andy handle it?
Hold on. We're not there yet. We're not. Listen. I'm talking about. Sorry, Shaq. Let's not take this out of context before other idiots do. I'm not saying Andy Robertson. I'm just saying he's not quite the player that he was, which was up here, right? So
still better than Kirkes. Still better than Kirkes.
Exactly, and that's unfortunate for young Kirkes at the moment. And I mean, listen, it'll be a huge dent to his confidence. But I said to Stevie 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were in the office. I said he's going to have to take him out the side, and Stevie said, "Well, the problem is Robertson doesn't quite look fit enough." And then he had a game where he came on against Chelsea, I think, got caught at the back post, and I went away and played in the game that I mentioned for Scotland, and struggled. And so that wasn't an easy decision for Arne Slot. But you know, you said is Andy Robertson ready? Andy Robertson's a very, very good player.
He's Scottish. He can handle it.
There's lots of bad Scottish players. The point is Andy Robertson can still do a job. Right? He can do a job defensively, and he still will get forward. I'm not suggesting he can't do this, that, and the next thing. But it's just the fact he's not the player he was. But he could easily go into a game like that and use his experience and say, do you know what? I don't need to be bombing forward unless I need to. I can just take my position off Van Dijk, make sure I'm covering, talking to people, getting some help in, all the sort of stuff that Milos Kerkez is still learning, certainly at a big club. And so for those reasons, I think absolutely Andy Robertson.
To your question, Andy Robertson has to be up for it. He has to handle it, to your term, Alexis. And let's be honest, this is going to be a test. Savinho may not be a Camavinga. I say tongue firmly in cheek. But between City's wide men and Camavinga and Doku, they have been simply outstanding. But they're both younger, they're both a little bit less experienced, and to Craig's point, maybe that's what Andy Robertson has over them. A little bit of experience, just a little bit of an older, wiser head, and allows him to match up with these two players. Now, again, before a ball was kicked, before we knew Real Madrid's lineup, you could probably ask the same question about Andy Robertson, about Bradley on the other side, and we'd have the same kind of questions about whether they could. They answered those. Now again, it's a very different test, but I don't think Slot has any choice. The one thing, as I say, that Robertson has going in his favour is that he's a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and maybe that he can use to his advantage.
You're not taking Kerkez out of the frying pan and chucking him back in
against Sevilla.
at Man City away.
Yeah.
You're not doing that. You know, you're not taking him out and then chucking him back in where it could get an absolute roasting and it just goes from pillar to post. It just gets worse. You just make the problem worse. I think there'll be a classic case here for Arne Slot to just get Andy Robertson in the office and say, listen, you know, the young man's struggling, help him on the training ground. And senior players well. Robertson knows the scenario, right? He knows they brought a live back in because he can't keep doing it. So Slot will be talking to him saying, look, we need to help the young man, we need to do this. But in the meantime, I just need you to do a job for me. I don't need you to be, the greatest attacking left back in the planet, because I know as we get older, but I need you to come in and make that back four solid. More solidity, more continuity, more experience. And then, gradually get Kerkez into the side and Robertson will get his game time. But for this game at the weekend, absolutely, unless there's a problem, Kerkez will not start this match.
Did he call Bournemouth and say, could you play with a high line so I can score 2, 3, 4, 5 goals? He's on fire, Erling. I've never seen him fitter. I have never seen him more involved in a game. I've never seen him being more a leader out on the pitch. You can say that City are too depending on him. Yes, I see that point, but it seemed that it doesn't bother him. I mean, it's not like the opposition play Manchester City and I think, I wonder if this Norwegian, this blonde guy will score a goal. I'm not sure that he will be dangerous. So massive days for him. They got a big game this week. He's playing on Thursday against Estonia at home. If we win that, Norway will be at the World Cup. And then he can be calm in this game against Liverpool, not getting injured. Please look after yourself. And it's a big, big week for Erling Haaland.
Jan, give us a prediction.
For what?
For this game. Don't say anything yet because you're on the show with me tomorrow and we have a full preview on this. So
hey, trust me, I wasn't going to say a word.
Oh, okay, good. Jan, what's your prediction?
My prediction is 2-2.
2-2.
I think it's going to be
I was just going to ask him
goals.
a relevant question there before you went and nose first with your prediction. Right. Do you think, Jan, that Man City and Pep Guardiola in particular has had a little bit of a sea change in how they approach the game to get Haaland more involved, more balls into the box, more bodies around him, more service? Do you think there's been a mentality saying, look, he's our biggest asset, we don't have Kevin De Bruyne anymore, we don't have this, that and the next thing. We need to make sure we are getting the service to him a little quicker and in better areas?
I think that, Craig, is a good question because I think Manchester City have had a reality check. I mean, they have got in 3 or 4 players and they are good players, yes, but this is not the De Bruyne of the world. This is not Alvarez either. I think they miss Alvarez. I mean, that kind of player in the team. They've got players in. And I think that after last season, there was I think Erling scored 30 goals in a terrible season. This is a man who plays for a team that at that time didn't do counter-attacks as they did against Bournemouth. They were quicker trying to find that space behind the back four of Bournemouth, and also get crosses in. Can you believe to be a striker and not get crosses? That's what I say. It was breaking news when I saw Doku finally start making crosses. So yes, I think they've had they also see that the game involves this just keep the ball kind of thing is not as efficient as it used to be. And you see that with Arsenal, you see that by Liverpool, you see that even with Bayern, because there are games that Bayern doesn't have the great ball possession, but when they get the ball to Diaz, and 1 against 1, or you give it to Gnabry, turn around, Kane, lay it back, be the playmaker in the team. So yes, I think they have a more pragmatic approach to the game now, City.
And I heard Gab talking yesterday about Foden as well.
Yeah.
We're obviously going on to something else. And by the way, I'll not be talking about this game tomorrow.
Well,
so
we
you
are
can
talking
stick
about this game tomorrow.
if you're planning on me doing a big preview on it, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
We'll get Craig's prediction tomorrow, but Nathan Mano is also joining us on the show as we do preview.
I'll do a prediction at a struggle.